UFC featherweight champion Jose Aldo already has an opponent secured for his next match. The World Series of Fighting extends their television deal, and a former champion leads the UFC 156 salary list. We have a ton to get to, so let's have at her. After a close battle with top contender Frankie Edgar at UFC 156, where he successfully defended his title, Brazilian featherweight king Jose Aldo has agreed to take on former WEC lightweight champion Anthony Pettis at the 145-pound limit, according to MMA Junkie. Pettis is coming off an impressive first-round stoppage win over Donald Cerrone and was promised a shot at the lightweight crown later this year, but instead decided to drop down to a class to challenge one of the pound-for-pound best. The bout is scheduled to take place on August 3rd. Fledgling Las Vegas-based MMA promotion World Series of Fighting has inked a 3-year deal with broadcast partner NBC Sports after a successful first event, which took place last November. The first show under the new agreement will go down on March 23rd at the Revel Casino in Atlantic City and will be headlined by a heavyweight clash between former UFC champion Andrei Arlovski and, wait for it, Anthony Rumble Johnson. No freaking wonder he couldn't make the welterweight limit. Also in action, 24-year-old Marlon Moraes, who's coming off a split decision win over former WEC bantamweight champion Miguel Torres. And despite a losing effort in the co-main event of UFC 156, former 205-pound champion Rashad Evans was the top earner for the event. Sugar took home a whopping $300K after dropping a decision to Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, who has now completely screwed up the light heavyweight standings. Alistair Overeem netted $286,000, while champion and main eventer Jose Aldo earned 240,000 buckaroos for his fight of the night performance against Frankie Edgar. Joining me now is my partner in crime, Mr. Robin Black, and huge news in the world of the UFC featherweight division. Former 155-pound champion in the WEC, Anthony Pettis, who was guaranteed a title shot after his performance against Donald Cerrone. He was set to take on the winner of Ben Henderson and Gilbert Melendez. He says, screw that. He's going to go down to 145 pounds to take on Jose Aldo on August 3rd. How awesome is this?
It's amazing, man. This is as good a fight as you're ever going to see. And, you know, Pettis being a great champion in the past and being exciting and having all of these great attributes, you'd be excited to see him fight Aldo. But after that brutal knockout of Cowboy, just the way he beautifully used the cage, those kicks to the body, really mixed up his striking, he looked better, arguably, in that fight with Cowboy than Aldo did in his fight with Frankie.
I am a little bit surprised about this because you look at the featherweight division, you have the Korean Zombie, who could be one of the guys next in line. You have an upcoming match, a fight that's really going to take place in less than 2 weeks between Dustin Poirier and Cub Swanson, a fight that could really deliver the #1 contender. Why do you think the UFC decided to go with this matchup? Is it just because people saw him on Fox and he's an exciting young fighter? Why give him this opportunity when you've already given him the chance to fight for the lightweight title?
Cash, moolah, gelt. You know, like money. Money is the reason. This kid is very sellable. He's exciting. You show their highlight reels when you're hyping up this fight. One guy's flying off a cage, the other guy's flying knees. You put that together, you got to be an idiot to not want to see that fight.
I think when you talk about the 145-pound rankings, yes, it's good because we all know who these guys are. We followed Jose Aldo in the WEC. We followed Anthony Pettis in the WEC. But for the casual fans out there, is the 145-pound class, is it as marketable? Is it a division that will make you as much money as the 155-pound division, considering Frankie Edgar was a champion there, BJ Penn was a champion there, Sean Shirk was a champion there? What holds more water with the casual audience?
Yeah, I'm sure that 155 does, but you got to look at a few things. What does, say, Aldo and Pettis want, and what does the UFC want? The UFC wants these guys to break that featherweight division open. What's a Zombie? What's a Poirier? We don't know. But see these two guys fight, and now everybody will know how great the featherweight division is. And for Pettis, his goal is to become a champion. Would it be better to be a champion at lightweight or featherweight? It's probably lightweight, but would it be just better to be a champion? And to be honest, I'm going to talk to Duke later today. If you talk to these guys, I'll bet you anything. If they're being honest, they believe Aldo is an easier fight than Henderson.
And then what happens if Anthony Pettis loses this fight? Obviously, he will not get a shot at the 155-pound title, even if he wins a razor-close split decision. So I think it's a huge risk for Anthony Pettis, but obviously Duke Roufus believes in his fighters. He believes that Anthony Pettis is a guy that was destined to be inside of the cage. And based on his last performance, you have to agree with him.
Yeah, when he is on, man, when he has that swagger, when he goes in there with this attitude like, you do not belong in here with me, he's a killer. A lot of guys, that kind of overconfidence or that kind of cockiness doesn't work for them. It works for this kid. And he struts in there and he takes over. And you talk about risk reward, you know. Hey, man, if he fought Henderson and lost a razor-close split decision, he wouldn't be fighting Aldo. You get one or the other. This is pick'em time. And I think if you really look at it, in my opinion, and obviously in Pettis' and Duke's opinion, Aldo is a more winnable fight.
I think obviously you were a guy that liked Frankie Edgar in the fight with Jose Aldo. We're all impressed that Frankie was able to do some of the things that he was able to do. But when you examine the performance Jose Aldo had, he really has improved on his skill set. And I think it really shows the mark of a true champion and a man that people consider one of the pound-for-pound best when you see that evolution.
Yeah, for sure. It's an arms race, you know, and you know, everybody kind of knows it. And the skill level in every area is growing, and it's growing very quickly. If you look at football right now, football will increase by tiny, tiny fractions of a percentile because the skills are all developed. But in MMA, we're still at the leather helmet era. Things are changing rapidly from card to card, and Frankie Edgar was doing something that other guys couldn't handle. So everybody knew not only did they have to go back and learn to deal with it, they had to be able to do it themselves, and they've kind of evened out that footwork and mobility thing. Pettis believes he's one of these guys at another level, and he's operating in ways that other guys don't understand, and we'll see.
From the small guys to the bigger guys, World Series of Fighting returns with a killer main event. Anthony Rumble Johnson going up to heavyweight to take on the former UFC heavyweight champion and Andrei Arlovski. It seems that they're doing the right things. World Series of Fighting, take whatever stars you have and put them up against each other.
Yeah, man. And when we first started looking at this, like so many expert pundits, whatever that is, you know, we would look at it and examine it and go, man, it's just another organization that's trying to get whatever's out there. It's a tough business, but they're doing well. You know, the show did well, and you're a big, big supporter of just get the best guys and get them to fight. And that's what this fight is. And, you know, I think you should be working for these guys with ideas like that, man. It's not rocket science. Get the two best available guys that we all know and we're excited. I mean, who doesn't want to see these guys go at it? This is a good fight.
Stay tuned for more fight news now extra when we come back.